You're watching Taking Stock on ENCA. Basani Maluleke is the chief executive of African Bank. The digital revolution. We're seeing banks close branches. Standard Bank, most famously, with its 100 branch closures, has caused ripples throughout the banking industry, threats of strikes in response to this digital revolution, which is inevitable. Yet, you guys are actually growing your footprint and expanding, dare I say, much in the same way as Capitec, because many of your customers, of course, still treasure the face-to-face interaction.
We definitely do. So, as I said earlier, we launched our transactional banking account just in May of this year. And 90% of the accounts that have been opened have actually been through our branch network. And when you think about that, it just reminds you that people still want that contact, no matter how we might look at it. And I think as a result, we will continue to invest in the network and to ensure that we appoint people who are able to service those customers. But I think what is probably different is that we also know that, you want people to come in and to kind of see you, make sure you're real and that you exist, and then to start operating more remotely. Because one, it's good for us because it helps us to manage our costs a little bit better. But secondly, it's very convenient for customers, right? You can bank 24/7 wherever you are. And I think as over time, what we're looking at is how do we start training our consultants so that they don't only learn how to sell a loan or sell a transactional account, but can have conversations with their customers and in that way figure out what to cross-sell to them, what advice to give them, and how to help us to build products that are much more meaningful and relevant to our customers' lives.
I mean, it also suggests that you're being serious about growing that transactional banking facility when you open up a branch in Sandton City. Because Sandton City was never the epicenter of African Bank's marketing. It was never the market. African Bank was always sort of Louis Botha Avenue, Randburg, places where high commuter traffic, lots of foot traffic, people go to catch taxis. You're taking African Bank towards a new market segment.
Absolutely, and it's a flagship branch, and I absolutely encourage everybody to visit it. I think it's a really exciting time for us. Sandton City has a lot of foot traffic. And also it does have foot traffic of different LSMs, which also means that you can start to talk to people who typically wouldn't be in Randburg, which is the example that you'd made. So we really think that this will help us to lift ourselves to a different level.
What is happening with the digital revolution as well? Because you are spending heavily on digitizing and automating like everybody else is, but there's this weird, which comes first, the cart or the horse, the chicken or the egg? Where is the focus?
I think the answer is the customer. So what we've been saying to ourselves is, look, the reality is customers are changing, right? So we know all about the smartphone penetration, we know about data usage and how that is scaling up. And we know in South Africa that as data prices come down, because data must fall, as that happens, people are going to digitize more. They'll be able to actually go online and be much more comfortable. And as that happens, customers are going to want to have the ability to continually use their apps and buy products on their apps. And the key for us is how do we make sure that we are ready to enable these customers to do what they want to do online. We've started to ingrain data centricity in the organization. So as we speak right now, we are training 29 data scientists with a partner called Data Academy and the city, and they are assisting us to train these guys. They're going to be coming into our business next year, and they're going to help us to start thinking through how do we use the data that we have a little bit more smartly to understand what our customers want, what products to develop, how to cross-sell those products to them, and effectively how to grow our bank.
How do you stand out in an environment which is becoming increasingly competitive? Just this year, the launch of Time Bank, and they are possibly running at a bit of a loss every month. I mean, they've got 500,000 plus customers, none of whom are making big deposits and are transacting very aggressively, so it's hard to make money like that, and they're looking to go into your space, which is microloans into the future. You've got Discovery Bank, which is a different LSM to yours, but potentially Bank Zero, which was supposed to come out in September this year, postponed to next year in terms of a launch. There's a lot more activity, and your customer numbers have fallen. You've had, I think, 1.2 million customers. You're down to just over 1 million, and you've got this very big and ambitious goal to grow to 2.5 million by 2021. That goal seems to be getting a little bit distant in a far more competitive space than there's ever been in South Africa.
And you're right. And I suppose at the time I was setting up that goal of 2.5 million customers by 2021, we hadn't seen what the market was going to look like. And you're absolutely right. It is absolutely a lot more competitive right now. In a lot of ways, there is a risk of us getting distracted by our competitors and trying to kind of, make sure we're competing in different ways. But I'm very, very comfortable with the strategy that we've adopted, right? At the end of the day, we know that as customers have more competition, the key is going to be about who's going to give me the most value. as competition grows, it's not just about value. It's about who really speaks to what I want, who actually shares my values, is actually going to give me, it's going to enable me to operate in the way that I want to. And I think what we've developed, which really is about saying to our customers, you can engage with us through any channel of your choice. And we've developed that capability, and we're calling it our omni-channel.
So everybody does that.
No, but let me finish. And I think then we've also said to them, because we understand that customers bank differently from how they live. And that's really our opportunity. So when we say, I'm sure you have a check account. And,
I don't know. I still have a checkbook somewhere. Somewhere.
A transactional account, a current account, whatever it is. But the reality is, if you look at how people live, and especially now more than ever, we all kind of live in groups, right? Either with your family, your nuclear family, your siblings. You have 1,000 WhatsApp groups with I don't know how many people on them. You have your work groups and so on. And we're saying, why not create an account that actually allows people to bank in the way that they live? So if you know that the most important people in your life are your mother who lives in Emalahleni, and you need to be giving her X amount of money every month, then create an account where you can have a sub-account for her, so you can actually make sure that she has the money that she needs. Make sure that when she phones you at 4 p.m. in the afternoon and she needs a 500 rand because it's a medical emergency, she must absolutely go to the hospital right now, you can in your meeting quickly make that transfer to her in real time and see that she's actually got the money in her account so she can go and spend it. And I think the main thing for us was about understanding what it is that our customers want, how they spend their money, how they live their lives, and to make sure that we create products that speak to that. And I think that in the long term is what will differentiate us.
Do you keep that target of 2.5 million by 2021, or do you revise that target, or do you extend microlenders? You extend the term of the payment.
That's
I mean, how do you deal with that wanting to achieve that ambition in a space that has changed fundamentally?
You're absolutely right. And I think for our 2021 targets, we definitely need to start reducing that target. At the end of the day, the more customers you have, the more sustainable you are as a business, and the faster you will grow. So having a large base of customers for us is absolutely a priority.
We're talking banking, especially the micro-lending sector. And at one time, micro-lending was the Wild West. Increasingly, what we're seeing, though, is that the listed players, the big players, the well-known brands, are de-risking. They are choosing their customers more carefully than they used to. What happens to those people who can't get a loan? They go into the informal markets, and that's where they get ripped off. How do we balance this out in a country like South Africa, one of the most unequal in the world, one of the most unfair in the world, when there's a segment of the population who doesn't get served by the formal sector? Is there an opportunity there? In a moment.